Here with Concordia head women's soccer coach Thomas Goines to preview the 2021 season. As we record this, the first official game not too far off into the future. I know year one was hardly eventful, right, for you.
A little bit.
How do you describe kind of what that roller coaster ride was like, and just how much fun that run in the postseason was for this team?
I think we said a lot last year. This team has been resilient. All our returners they've gone through, I think, a unique experience, especially our juniors. If you look at just their entirety of their run and their time here, going through coaching transitions, going through a COVID year, new coach, and everything that was involved in that. There's a lot of challenges, schedule changes. Having a full season, not giving them the natural break that comes as a college soccer player, and then pulling together at the end when we're short significant players on the team, and finding a way to just win and gut out some very tough results against good teams. Was just I don't think there's really good words for it. I still don't think I've emotionally got a grasp on what happened all year, but it's something I'm never going to forget. It's a fun part of my career.
But I would hope everybody maybe feels a little bit more comfortable this preseason for a lot of different reasons. Not as many protocols to follow, and it's a year where you're a little bit more familiar with everybody. But how much easier is it from that standpoint, just everybody kind of knowing each other a little bit better?
I think a return to normalcy for the staff as well as the athletes is a nice breath of fresh air for everybody involved. And for myself, I think it's the first time for the girls to see what normal is with me and normal with them, because it has been unique since literally I've taken the job here. So this is kind of our first run through that time together and what is a normal schedule and cycle, and being able to go to training and not have fewer restrictions on our movement and how we manage socially. It's a nice place to be, and hopefully they can embrace that and kind of enjoy the season and just enjoy being soccer players again without all the extra stuff that came with the unfortunate things we had to deal with last year.
And through it all, as we talked about, there were some good things that happened. Tied for second in the regular season, and then won the conference tournament, of course, and then picked second in the coaches poll. But what does it say maybe about the returning talent you have and the expectation level that has been created for the program?
I think the expectation for our program has always been one of excellence, where we're expected to compete. Winning is always nice, and we had a great run of results. If you look at the end of the fall, I think we had a nice run out of undefeated matches, and topped it off by beating the team, I think, Briarcliff, that was top of conference. That was a great way to end a cycle, and just had a lot of success. And you really can't speak much more highly of the women who came through that, and through the transition and all the things we've addressed. So that was a great run, but the expectation is that we continue to compete, and we take one game as a championship game every single time we step on the field. So that's kind of our mentality as we approach the season. That was last year's team, and all those players from last year's team can be super proud of what they accomplished and what they did as a group through some very challenging things. But that's not this year's team. This year's team has to kind of put its own chapter in the book, and its own stamp of legacy and what's happened before us, and appreciate the effort it took to do that. So our story's yet to be told, and hopefully this one is just as good as the last, maybe better.
Last season there were times when I guess the identity was more of a defensive type of team, but how do you see things maybe evolving stylistically as you move into your second year here?
Yeah, we had to hang our hat on defense, especially late in the year, as some attacking players weren't available to us as we went further and further on. We just had to kind of become a gritty, defensive-minded program, and I don't think you lose that. I think we have a lot of women who gave everything physically and mentally as they drove into that defensive mentality. But hopefully, with some of the new additions and some of our things we're working on in the preseason, we're going to have a better attacking punch and be a little more on the front foot in matches to be able to pressure other teams into the game. Certainly, if we are put into a match where we know we might have to defend or be a little more stuck in, I'm confident we can compete in those matches because we return a large portion of the roster and a good amount of our upperclassmen. So, I think we have a platform to grow on, certainly, but we do want to be a little more on the attacking foot as we can this year to not have to white knuckle as many matches.
Mm-hmm. Well, in goal, this program had counted on Lindsay Carley a lot the past 4 years. What does that competition look like to replace her now?
It's always one of those things where you talk about replacing what could arguably be a legend of the program. If you look at where Lindsay sat within the record books and how many matches she played and championships she brought in, it's going to replace her is something I don't think is maybe the right wording, but someone's going to have to step in and fill those shoes. And we've had a succession of quality goalkeepers here for a number of years, and we've got a really good position battle going on with 4 goalies who are fighting for that opportunity. I think that's day to day. I think we've had girls who've shown well one day, and then another girl shows well the next day. It's going to be it's going to be very interesting to see who pulls ahead and wins that spot and really earns the trust from her back line. And that's really what it's boiled down to, because I think each one of the goalies we have are skilled and they have strengths and weaknesses that kind of complement and counter each other. At the end of the day, it's who the back 4 feel the most comfortable with and confident in, because that relieves a lot of pressure from what they have to do. And it becomes a tight-knit group right there.
Well, you do have a couple all-conference players back that have been on the back line. What do players like Allie Downing and Grace Sankson mean for this team?
I think it's a sense of security. Both of those young women, they earned their opportunities to get all-conference, and they were complimented last year specifically through Callie and Ellie. That back 4, I think they were ranked top 5 in the country defensively last year, and that was a phenomenal achievement, especially through the fall. But those two, it's just what you're going to get. You get consistent play, you get consistent effort, and when you know that the other team's going to have to do something special to beat you because of players like that, it allows you to be more relaxed and flexible on the offensive side. You can take more risks than you might take if you weren't quite as secure with what's happening in your back line. So it allows you just to play with a bit better sense of freedom.
Well, this is your first chance to bring in some recruits to this roster. What do you see from this incoming class and how they might contribute to this year's team?
I think they're excited. And they're the first traditional freshman class, to bring in underneath our coaching staff. I think there's going to be 3 or 4 of them that contribute to the first team and find time at various moments and levels throughout the year. But I think that there's an excitement for them to learn. There's an excitement for them to develop, and it present or give a little bit of competition in positions where we weren't quite as deep last year, where we maybe weren't seeing day-to-day someone's going to have to fight for this position. I think you have returning starters who are going to be pushed, and that's what needs to happen. And those younger players need to learn, develop, and continue to challenge and take their opportunities as they're given.
You had your first chance to get a look at the GPAC last year. What did you notice about what it takes to compete within this conference?
It takes everything. I mean, you have to be on every single game. When we played, any of the top 6 teams in conference could win conference. It's who's going to have that run of games, that run of skill, luck, whatever the combination you want to look at there. It's going to be a battle at the top and all the way running through the top 8. We were fortunate a handful of times to maybe jump on a couple teams in conference, which made some of the games look a little more unbalanced than they were on the field. But our rivalries are just as hard. In some of those matches, we jumped on teams. I expect them to come back with a fury and fight us just as tooth and nail. So if we don't present everything every game and we don't give what we're capable of, any team in the GPAC can beat anyone on any day, and that's what the girls have to understand. And that's why we have the mantra of every game's a championship. Last year we came a half game away from, winning conference, and that's the margins between winning and losing in the GPAC.
Well, as we record this, you've had about a week of preseason to look at your team. What have been some of the early impressions so far?
A lot of skill, a lot of competition, and it's a blending of younger players with returners, so it's going to be an interesting year for us because again, it's that first full cycle. I'm excited for what we're capable of doing. There's a lot of talent on the field. There's, it's just getting our mentality back and hitting the reset button of a year-long, season, which has not ever happened. So it's really just trying to hit that ground running and keep that momentum that we finished the year on with a new group of girls. And they've taken that challenge, and we continue to grow each and every day.
How about between now and August 28th, first official game, what do you still want to accomplish before you do it for real?
I think it's just tightening up mentality. It's getting them to kind of all believe in one group, one philosophy. We're going to find a way to win. We're going to find a way to grind out. We're going to find a way, whether it's through the offense, the defense. We're going to have ups and downs in the season. It's just not allowing ourselves to find a moment of complacency. And I think over the next couple weeks, it's just beating that drum and continuing to push and get our mindset right and sharpened. So as we get into the season, we don't expect that our first game is going to be our most beautiful, best connected game we play. But we're sure as heck going to hope that our last game of the season, when we're playing hopefully for conference finals, is the best, sharpest game we play. So we're going to look for constant improvement. But it's just really getting the mindset and our fitness right because tactically and technically they're very skilled. How can we sharpen ourselves to that place?